The year is 2025. The global economy is still reeling from the aftershocks of the COVID-19 pandemic. Recovery has been uneven, and geopolitical tensions are simmering. Nowhere is this more apparent than in the relationship between the United States and Mexico. The two neighbors, bound by a complex history and intertwined economies, find themselves on the brink of a trade war. At the heart of the tension is U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to impose sweeping tariffs on Mexican imports. Citing concerns over illegal immigration and unfair trade practices, President Trump vows to bring back American jobs and protect domestic industries. His rhetoric resonates with his base, but the move sends shockwaves through Mexico and beyond. The Mexican economy, heavily reliant on exports to the United States, braces for impact. Businesses large and small worry about the consequences of escalating costs and disrupted supply chains. The peso plummets in value, and uncertainty grips the nation. The stage is set for a high-stakes confrontation between two of North America's most important players. President Trump's decision to impose tariffs on Mexican imports is the culmination of years of simmering trade tensions. Throughout his presidency, Trump has repeatedly targeted Mexico, accusing it of stealing American jobs. He has also made cracking down on illegal immigration a cornerstone of his agenda. In announcing the tariffs, Trump points to the trade deficit as evidence of unfair practices. He argues that Mexican businesses benefit from lower labor costs and lax regulations. The tariffs, he insists, are necessary to protect American workers. The immediate impact of the tariffs is felt on both sides of the border. Prices for Mexican goods in the U.S. begin to rise, hitting consumers. American businesses that rely on Mexican imports face higher costs. In Mexico, the impact is even more severe. Factories that rely on the U.S. market face layoffs and closures. The news of U.S. tariffs sends shockwaves through Mexico City, where newly elected President Claudia Sheinbaum takes a defiant stand. A physicist and environmentalist by training, Sheinbaum is known for her sharp intellect and her commitment to social justice. She refuses to be bullied by what she sees as President Trump's aggressive and unilateral actions. In a televised address to the nation, Sheinbaum denounces the tariffs as unjust and unacceptable and vows to protect Mexican workers and businesses. She calls on the international community to condemn President Trump's protectionist policies and warns that a trade war would have devastating consequences for both countries. However, Sheinbaum also understands the need for diplomacy. She knows that Mexico's economy is deeply intertwined with that of the United States, and that a prolonged trade war would be disastrous. Sheinbaum orders her team to begin preparing retaliatory tariffs, while also reaching out to U.S. allies in an effort to build international pressure against President Trump's actions. The impact of the tariffs on the Mexican economy is swift and significant. As costs for Mexican goods rise in the United States, demand plummets. Factories that once hummed with activity fall silent, and workers are laid off. The agricultural sector, a major employer in Mexico, is hit particularly hard as exports of fruits, vegetables, and other products to the United States dwindle. The peso, already weakened by uncertainty in the global economy, takes a nosedive. This makes imports more expensive for Mexican businesses and consumers, further fueling inflation. The rising cost of living hits ordinary Mexicans the hardest, eroding purchasing power and fueling social unrest. The economic turmoil exacerbates existing social and political challenges in Mexico. Drug cartels, sensing an opportunity, step up their activities, taking advantage of the government's distraction and the growing desperation of the population. The flow of migrants attempting to cross the U.S. border, driven by economic hardship and violence, surges, further straining relations between the two countries. Navigating the storm. Sheinbaum's strategy. Faced with a crisis, President Sheinbaum adopts a two-pronged strategy: resistance and diversification. She imposes retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods, showing Mexico won't be bullied. Sheinbaum seeks new trading partners to reduce reliance on the U.S. market. She embarks on a diplomatic offensive to strengthen and forge new trade relationships. Her administration supports small enterprises, innovation, and foreign investment. A hard bargain from standoff to resolution. The standoff between the United States and Mexico drags on for months, with neither side willing to back down. The economic fallout from the trade war continues to mount. hurting businesses and consumers on both sides of the border. In the United States, President Trump faces growing pressure from the business community to end the trade war, as companies large and small feel the pain of higher costs and disrupted supply chains. In Mexico, President Sheinbaum's popularity remains high, as she is seen as standing up for the country's interests in the face of U.S. aggression. However, the economic costs of the trade war are taking their toll, and Sheinbaum knows that a prolonged standoff will only hurt Mexico in the long run. Finally, after months of tense negotiations, the two sides reach a deal. The agreement, while far from perfect, represents a face-saving compromise for both President Trump and President Sheinbaum. The United States agrees to lift most of its tariffs on Mexican goods, while Mexico makes some concessions on trade and immigration. Sheinbaum's defining moment. The trade war with the United States proves to be a defining moment for President Sheinbaum's presidency. Her steadfast leadership in the face of President Trump's aggression earns her plaudits both at home and abroad. She is praised for her skillful diplomacy, her commitment to protecting Mexican interests, and her ability to navigate a complex and challenging situation. The crisis also highlights Sheinbaum's commitment to economic diversification and social justice. Under her leadership, Mexico takes important steps to reduce its reliance on the United States, strengthen its ties with other countries, and build a more inclusive and sustainable economy. The trade war serves as a wake-up call for Mexico, underscoring the need to reduce its economic dependence on its northern neighbor. It also demonstrates the importance of international cooperation and the need for rules-based trade. The future of U.S. Mexico relations. The trade war of 2025 leaves a lasting impact on U.S. Mexico relations. While the two countries manage to avoid a complete rupture, the experience exposes the fragility of the relationship and the deep divisions that exist on issues such as trade, immigration, and security. The crisis also underscores the importance of dialogue and diplomacy in managing the complex and often challenging relationship between the two neighbors. It highlights the need for both sides to move beyond the rhetoric of blame and confrontation and to work together to address shared challenges. As the world moves further into the 21st century, the United States and Mexico will need to find ways to cooperate on a range of issues, from climate change and energy to migration and security. The future of the relationship will depend on the ability of both countries to find common ground, build trust, and work together to create a more prosperous and secure future for all.